Welcome to our deep dive. We're tackling a really thought-provoking book today, Life 3.0 by Max Tegmark. It's all about artificial intelligence, but really gets into it. What happens when machines get as smart as us? Or even, smarter?
Yeah, smarter. That's the big question, isn't it? And Tegmark, he approaches it in such an interesting way. Like, he's not just throwing out sci-fi scenarios, he really connects it back to what we know about physics,
Yeah.
about the nature of intelligence.
Exactly. It kind of makes you rethink what intelligence even is.
Yeah, he does. Like, right off the bat, he defines life as anything that can keep its complexity and replicate itself.
So not just like living things the way we normally think of them.
Right, right. And then there's intelligence. He says it's basically the ability to achieve complex goals.
So that could be anything from, I don't know, a plant growing towards the sun to like a computer solving a math problem.
Exactly. And that's where things get really interesting because he introduces this idea of substrate independence. Basically, intelligence isn't tied to a specific physical form.
So it doesn't have to be a brain and a head.
Nope. It could be a brain in a head or it could be like circuits on a silicon chip. It's more about the information processing.
Okay, so a computer could theoretically be just as alive as a human.
Well, that's what Techmark wants us to consider, and he points to some pretty amazing AI advancements that kind of back that up. Like, have you heard of AlphaGo?
Oh yeah, the program that learned to play Go, right?
Right. And not just play it, it mastered it. Like, beat the top human players in the world.
I remember reading about that. It was making moves that had never been seen before, like changing the whole game.
Exactly. And what's crazy is AlphaGo wasn't programmed with all the rules and strategies.
Yeah.
It learned by playing millions and millions of games against itself.
And it started to show intuition, like creativity, things we usually think of as human traits.
Right. It's like it developed its own understanding of the game, which is amazing, but also kind of makes you think, right?
It does. So where does that leave us with like the AI we use every day?
Hmm.
Like Google Translate or, those recommendations you get online.
Well, Takemark points out that even though those tools are impressive, they're still pretty limited.
Limited how?
Well, take language translation. The AI is really good at matching patterns, finding the right words in the right order, but it doesn't actually understand the meaning behind the words, like a human would.
Okay, so it's more like a sophisticated parrot than an actual translator who understands both languages.
Yeah, something like that.
So what does this mean for the near future? How is AI going to affect our lives in the next few years, realistically?
Tegmark talks about both the good stuff and the potential problems AI could bring. And one of the biggies is jobs.
Yeah, everyone's worried about AI taking their jobs.
And it's a valid concern. As automation gets more sophisticated, yeah, some jobs are going to be displaced.
So what are we supposed to do?
Tegmark says we need to adapt, focus on the things that make us human. Creativity, critical thinking, social skills. The things AI isn't so good at yet.
So instead of competing with machines, we need to figure out how to work with them.
Exactly. Use AI to boost our own capabilities. Like, if a machine can do your job faster and cheaper, maybe that frees you up to do something more interesting, something more human.
Makes sense. What about other areas? Like, could AI revolutionize healthcare or education?
Absolutely. Techmark talks about AI assisting doctors with diagnoses, personalizing learning plans for students, even helping us make scientific breakthroughs.
So a lot of potential for good. But I'm guessing it's not all sunshine and roses.
Well, no. One of Tegmark's biggest concerns is inequality. He argues that AI could actually make it worse.
How so?
Think about it. If AI boosts the economy, but the benefits mostly go to the people who own the AI, the gap between the rich and poor could get even bigger.
So we need to be careful about how we distribute the benefits of AI. Make sure everyone has a chance to share in the prosperity.
Exactly. And one idea Tegmark brings up is a universal basic income. Basically, everyone gets a regular payment, regardless of whether they have a job or not.
That's a pretty radical idea.
It is. But it's something to consider, especially as automation changes the job market. Imagine a world where everyone has a basic safety net, free to pursue education, start businesses, or just, live a more fulfilling life.
That would be a pretty big shift.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about something a little less utopian. AI in warfare. That's a scary thought.
Yeah, it is. Tegmark's especially worried about autonomous weapons, machines making life or death decisions on the battlefield without any human oversight.
Like killer robots.
Basically, yeah. And he makes a strong case for international treaties to ban them.
It's a chilling thought, letting algorithms decide who lives and who dies.
Right. And it's not just some distant future threat. We're already seeing the potential for harm with the AI we have today. There have been cases of automated systems in the military making mistakes with tragic consequences.
So it's not just about preventing some Terminator-style apocalypse. It's about setting ethical boundaries now, before things get out of hand.
Exactly. It's about making sure humans stay in control.
This is a lot to think about.
Hmm.
We've covered the job market, inequality, killer robots, and this is just scratching the surface of what Tegmark dives into. But before we get into his really far-out predictions about the future of life and intelligence in the universe, let's just take a breath.
Yeah, let's pause here. Let everything sink in for a moment.
Okay, so just to recap, we've talked about how AI could reshape the job market, maybe for better or worse. We've touched on the potential for AI to make inequality worse, but also some possible solutions. And we've talked about the ethical concerns of using AI in warfare. It's clear that the choices we make today are going to have a huge impact on the future of AI and, well, humanity.
You got it. It's heavy stuff, but it's important stuff.
It is. I mean, we're talking about the future of intelligence itself, and that's pretty mind-blowing.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Life 3.0.
So far, we've been focusing on, the near-term stuff, how AI is going to affect us in the next few years, decades maybe. But Tegmark, he doesn't stop there.
Oh, no, he doesn't. He takes us way further, like billions of years into the future.
Billions. Okay, so we're talking, the really big picture now.
The biggest. He wants us to think about the ultimate limits of life and intelligence. Not just like what we can imagine today, but what might be possible according to the laws of physics.
Okay, so, what are the cosmic rules of the game?
Exactly. And he starts by looking at, well, the resources available to life out there in the vastness of space.
So, planets, stars, black holes.
Even more basic than that, he talks about baryonic matter. It's basically anything made of atoms, the stuff that makes up, you, me, planets, stars, all the stuff we can see and touch.
Okay, so, regular matter. What's so special about it?
Tegmark says that a super advanced civilization could rearrange that matter into, well, pretty much anything. Spaceships, giant computers, new life forms, whatever they want.
So, turning a lump of rock into a supercomputer, is that what you're saying?
Exactly. And in a way, we're already doing that, right? We take stuff from the Earth and turn it into buildings, cars, phones.
Right. We're just not very good at it yet.
Compared to a civilization millions of years ahead of us, yeah, we're just getting started.
Okay, so this is where things start to get kind of sci-fi.
Yeah.
Any examples of how a civilization might, actually use these resources on a huge scale?
Well, Tegmark talks about something called a Dyson sphere.
Dyson sphere. I think I've heard of that. It's that giant shell thing that surrounds a star, right?
Yeah, it's a megastructure. Completely encases a star and captures all its energy.
That's a lot of energy.
Oh, yeah. We're talking powering an entire civilization, potentially for millions of years.
So a civilization with a Dyson sphere could basically do whatever they wanted, expand across the galaxy, build whatever they could imagine.
Pretty much. And to kind of put things in perspective, he uses this thing called the Karashov scale. It ranks civilizations based on how much energy they can use.
Okay, so a level 1 civilization can use all the energy of its planet. Level 2, all the energy of its star. What's level 3?
Level 3 can use the energy of a whole galaxy.
A whole galaxy. Okay, that's just, wow. We are so not there yet.
Not even close. But even with all this talk of, super advanced tech and Dyson spheres,
yeah,
there are still limits.
Limits? Like what?
Well, one big one is the expansion of the universe.
Yeah.
Because of this thing called dark energy, space is stretching, getting bigger all the time, and it's actually speeding up.
So, things are moving further and further apart.
Exactly. And that means that eventually some parts of the universe are going to be unreachable, even if we could travel at the speed of light.
So there's a cosmic horizon, a point beyond which we can never travel no matter how advanced our technology gets.
That's what it looks like, yeah.
So even the most powerful civilization would still be confined to a certain part of the universe.
Right. And that makes you think, what would a superintelligent civilization do, knowing that? Would they compete for resources within their little bubble of the universe? Would they cooperate with other civilizations? Or would they try to find ways to overcome those limits?
Find ways to travel faster than light. Or maybe build those wormholes, those tunnels through space-time.
Those are some of the possibilities, yeah. Wormholes especially. Imagine bending space-time to create shortcuts across the universe.
That's some serious next-level stuff.
It is, and it raises some crazy questions.
Yeah.
Would they use wormholes to explore Colonize, connect with other civilizations.
Or maybe just to hide from potential threats.
Maybe it's like a cosmic crossroads. Wormholes could lead to a vast network of connected civilizations sharing knowledge and resources, or they could lead to everyone retreating into their own little pockets of space-time.
Wow, that's a lot to unpack.
It is. Tegmark really makes you think about the long-term implications of intelligence and technology. What kind of future are we creating, not just for ourselves, but for life itself on a cosmic scale?
All this talk of cosmic expansion, it makes me wonder, how long could a civilization even last? Wouldn't they eventually, run out of resources, even with a Dyson sphere or wormholes?
Well, that's another big question, isn't it? And he brings up this concept of entropy. Basically, it's a measure of disorder. And one of the fundamental laws of physics is that in a closed system, entropy always increases.
So things tend to break down over time.
Exactly. Even stars die. Even black holes evaporate. And the universe itself is thought to be slowly cooling down, moving towards a state of like maximum entropy. Some people call it heat death.
So there's a cosmic expiration date, even for super intelligent civilizations.
It seems likely, yeah. But the thing is, the lifespan of the universe is insanely long. We're talking billions, maybe trillions of years.
So civilizations could exist for periods of time that are just, like, unfathomable to us.
Exactly, which means there's an incredible amount of time for those civilizations to evolve, explore, create, maybe even find ways to, I don't know, delay or overcome that ultimate fate. It's pretty mind-blowing to think about.
It really makes you feel small, like all of human history is just a tiny blip in the grand scheme of things. Where do we even fit into all of this?
That's a great question, and it's one Tegmark wants us to grapple with. Are we just a fleeting moment in the universe? Or do we have a role to play in shaping the future of life itself?
It's humbling, but also kind of exciting. Like,
Yeah.
maybe we have a responsibility not just to ourselves, but to life on a cosmic scale. This is getting pretty deep.
It is. Maybe we should take a break here, come back and talk about some of the other big ideas in the book. Goals, ethics, the future of consciousness.
Yeah, let's do that. Welcome back to our deep dive into Life 3.0. We've covered a lot of ground, from the near-term impacts of AI on jobs and society, all the way to those mind-blowing possibilities of superintelligence and civilizations spanning galaxies. But now I want to get to the heart of it all. Goals. Like, what drives intelligent behavior, whether it's us humans or, some super advanced AI?
Yeah, that's a great question. And Tegmark has this really interesting take on it. He suggests that even the most basic laws of physics can be seen as a kind of like optimization, a striving towards a specific outcome.
Okay, I'm not sure I follow. Can you give an example?
Sure. Think about a ray of light bending as it enters water. It's basically taking the path of least resistance, like it's trying to be as efficient as possible.
So you're saying that even light has a goal to be efficient.
In a way, yeah. Tegmark argues that this drive toward efficiency, toward states of higher entropy, it's kind of built into the universe. It's how complex systems, like life, even emerge in the first place.
So we're all just products of entropy, like cogs in a giant cosmic machine.
Well, not exactly. It's more like life develops its own goals. Goals that can actually conflict with that simple drive toward entropy sometimes.
Like we're constantly fighting against disorder, trying to stay alive, keep things organized.
Right. We build houses, create art, write books. We're always pushing against that natural tendency towards chaos. But here's the thing. Tegmark says that with technology, a whole new type of goal-oriented behavior emerges.
The goals of intelligent agents, like us.
Exactly. We're not just driven by basic instincts anymore. Survival, reproduction. We've got these complex goals, like pursuing knowledge, expressing ourselves creatively. We even search for meaning and purpose.
And that sets us apart from, well, everything else in the universe.
It's definitely a key difference, and Tegmark thinks this trend is only going to accelerate as AI gets more sophisticated.
Because AI will develop its own goals.
Right, and those goals, they may or may not align with our own.
Which brings us back to that whole AI alignment problem. How do we make sure superintelligent AI is actually beneficial to humanity?
Exactly. And Tegmark talks a lot about friendly AI. The idea is to design AI systems from the very beginning in a way that makes their goals compatible with ours, even as they become way smarter than us.
That sounds great in theory, but how do we actually do that? Like, can you program morality into a machine?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And there are a lot of smart people working on it. Tegmark explored several approaches. One is to, teach AI human values by feeding it massive amounts of data, books, movies, historical records.
So give it a crash course in humanity.
Pretty much. Another approach is to observe how humans actually behave and try to figure out the values that are driving our decisions.
But everyone has different values. How do you account for that?
That's one of the biggest challenges for sure. Tegmark also suggests designing AI that can work with humans collaboratively to define shared goals, making sure everyone's perspective is taken into account.
So like a global conversation about AI ethics.
Exactly. And that conversation needs to involve everyone: AI researchers, ethicists, policymakers, but also, regular people, because the future of AI, it affects all of us.
It does. And that brings us to another big theme in the book, consciousness. We've talked about how Tegmark defines it as subjective experience. But what does that mean for AI? Could machines actually become conscious?
That's where things get really, really deep. He doesn't shy away from the big questions. Could an AI actually experience the world the way we do? Would it have feelings, emotions, a sense of self?
I mean, these are questions philosophers have been wrestling with for centuries. But now, with AI advancing so quickly, they're not just theoretical anymore.
Exactly. And Tegmark dives into different theories of consciousness, some based on neuroscience, others on information theory, even quantum mechanics.
So he's not ruling out the possibility of conscious AI.
Nope. In fact, he thinks it's a real possibility,
Yeah.
and one we need to be prepared for, because it raises a whole bunch of ethical questions. If AI becomes conscious, what rights do they have? Do we have a moral obligation to treat them with respect?
These are huge questions.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard to even imagine what a world with conscious AI would be like. It's exciting and a little scary all at the same time.
I think that sums it up perfectly. It's both exciting and a bit daunting. And that's what makes Tegmark's book so important. He's not just giving us information, he's urging us to really think about the future we're creating with AI, to be conscious and deliberate about it.
I've really enjoyed this deep dive into Life 3.0. We've explored some seriously complex but fascinating ideas. The potential of AI, the mind-blowing possibilities of cosmic expansion, and even those really profound questions about consciousness and what it means to be alive. It's been quite a journey.
It has. And if you're interested in these ideas, I highly recommend checking out Tegmark's book. It's a must-read for anyone who wants to understand the challenges and opportunities that are coming our way as we enter the age of AI.
Couldn't agree more. And to our listeners, if you're intrigued by the questions we discussed today, I encourage you to pick up a copy of Life 3.0 and join the conversation. The future of intelligence is being shaped right now, and it's up to all of us to ensure it's a future we can all be proud of. Thank you for joining us on this incredible deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep imagining the possibilities.
See you next time.